Good day. Welcome to Fresh Manna Midweek Moments, hosted by Reverend Dr. Alan G. Jenkins Jr. and yours truly, Benjamina Jenkins, and a host of pastors, evangelists, teachers, ministers, prayer warriors, and partners. Together we are on a mission to encourage, equip, and strengthen the body of Christ and to win souls for the kingdom of heaven. God bless you and enjoy this message today.
Good morning and welcome to Fresh Manna Ministries. And this is your host LT with your Manna Weekly, with your Manna Moments, Broken Stones, taking from Luke chapter 20, verse 18, Broken Stones. May the Lord bless us richly in His Word today. May He give us understanding of Luke chapter 20. We ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. Luke begins this chapter with the religious leaders of Israel, the chief priests, scribes, and the elders. Confronts Jesus, says here in verse 1, now one day as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple courts and proclaiming the gospel, it says that the chief priests and the experts in the law with the elders came up. That phrase came up means they came up in a official capacity from Jerusalem. They came there in a official capacity as the religious leaders of Israel. And it says they said to him, tell us, by what authority are you doing these things? Or who is it who gave you this authority? It's word that tells us that they came up to confront Jesus on his authority. They came up to challenge his authority. Verse 2 says, tell us this. It comes up to him with this official authority from Jerusalem, and it tells us that they came with the intentions of challenging his authority. It says in verse 2, by what authority? It says, by what authority are you doing these things? Or who is it who gave you this authority? It says here, in keeping with the idea that transparency liberates us, it allows God's mercy to all who are receptive to it. He can only grant clemency to those who admit guilt. Mercy is God's compassion to those who are worthy of death, but are given a life free from the punishment of the law. Again, there must be an admission of guilt in order for mercy to be granted. Mercy is the root word for merchandise, which has the idea that we were the item of someone which needed to be redeemed from its owner. And they ask, Jesus tells us, by what authority are you doing these things? Be transparent to us. In other words, who gave you this authority? And Jesus answered them in verse 3. He says to them with a question about John the Baptist's ministry. He says, I will also ask you a question, and you tell me. Here are the same words. They said to him, tell me. He says, you tell me. You come up with the authority from Jerusalem. I come up with the authority from heaven. Tell me, John's baptism, was it from heaven or from people? So they discussed it with one another, saying, if we say from heaven, he will say, why did you not believe him? But if we say from the people, all the people will stone us, because they are convinced that John was a prophet. Verse 7. So they replied that they did not know where it came from. Then Jesus said to them, neither will I tell you by whose authority I do these things. You see, we were former items of someone that needed to be redeemed. Many of us were formerly under the possession of demonic influences in one way or another. Whether we want to be honest or not, we were all slaves to something. There is a laundry list of things we could check off that we would not like to define us by, such as party animals, womanizers, drug and alcohol abusers, money lovers, emotional controllers, psychological conveyors, or any ungodly behavior. You see, this brings us to the parable of the tenant. And in order for us to understand the parable of the tenants, we must also be able to understand that we are all in need of a redeemer. In verse 9 it says, then he began to tell the people this parable. A man planted a vineyard, leased it to tenant farmers, and went on a journey for a long time. When harvest time came, he sent a slave to the tenants so that they would give him his portion of the crop. However, the tenants beat his slave and sent him away empty-handed. So he sent another slave. They beat this one too, treated him outrageously, and sent him away empty-handed. So he sent still a third. They even wounded this one and threw him out. Verse 13 says, then the owner of the vineyard said, what should I do? I will send my one dear son. Perhaps they will respect him. But when the tenants saw him, they said to one another, this is the heir. Let's kill him so the inheritance will be ours. So they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. Isaiah the prophet tells us about the vineyards of Israel and Judah. In Isaiah 5, verses 1 through 7, says that he will sing to my beloved a song about a vineyard at a fertile hill in which he planted a vineyard, and he built a tower in the middle and built a winepress, and he waited for edible grapes, but only sour grapes appeared. He says that the residents of Jerusalem and the people of Judah shall decide between me and my vineyard. He asked the question, what more could I have done that I have already done before? I waited for edible grapes, and why did sour grapes appear instead? Now he says to the vineyard, I am about to do to my vineyard. I will remove his hedge and I will turn it into pastures, and I will build a barn. I will break its walls and allow animals to gaze in the fields. I will make it a wasteland, and no one will prune its vines or hoe its ground. Thorns and briars will grow there, and I will order clouds not to drop any rain upon it. You see, he talks about the vineyard in Isaiah, and he says in verse 17, as the people answer, may this never happen. But Jesus looked straight at them and said, then what is the meaning of that which is written? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. It says that it has become the cornerstone. In Isaiah 8, it says the stone who is a stumbling block to Israel and to Judah. He will become, it says, a sanctuary, but a stone. He says he makes people to trip, a rock that makes one stumbled. He says the two houses of Israel and Judah, he says of this to Jerusalem and to his residents. Many will stumble over the stone and the rock, will fall seriously injured, and will be ensnared and captured. Daniel chapter 2 verses 34, it says that the statue of nations. In verse 34 of Daniel chapter 2, Daniel, watching as a stone not made with human hands cut out, struck the statue of iron and clay at the feet, breaking it into pieces. The iron, the clay, the bronze, silver, and gold, broken into pieces without distinction, became like chaff from the summer's threshing floor, that the winds carried away without trace to be found again. But the stone struck the statue and became a large mountain that filled the entire earth. In our passage in Luke, in order for us to become a broken stone, we must understand that we are in a condition that was beyond our control. It says in verse 18, everyone who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, and the one on whom it falls will be crushed. King James says it will be grinded into powder. It says there are things in this world that are not visible to the naked eye. And the last time that we were together, I asked if you had made an application from Luke 20:18. For those who were unable to read it, it is a final invitation to escape impending judgment on the Jews and on us. Whosoever shall fall upon that stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. This was Jesus' final national offer to the Jews to accept him as their Messiah. From that point on, the offer was an individual response to the gospel message. Before any of us could have become a broken stone, we must have to become transparent to God about our former condition. He couldn't accept us without it. You see, the text is a foundational truth. None of us could have been saved without a confession of a wretched condition in life. It was David's cry for help when he had the sense to admit he was hopeless and helpless to escape the pursuit of King Saul. This is what the psalmist wrote. The Lord is near unto those who are of a broken heart, and saves as be of a contrite spirit. In Psalms 34:18. David knew if he hadn't confessed, he would have been another casualty of Saul. There's an old saying, we can run and hide, but we cannot escape the arm of the Lord. For believers who have escaped the wrath and indignation of God, but there is his chastising arm, a rod of correction, for those who are out of line with his will. He gives us the spirit of truth. There's that tremendous responsibility for us to share with a truthless world. He asks us to be transparent with him so we can be clear and visible to a cloudy world. We must not have a hidden agenda because, as we all know, this is a hallmark of unbelievers. They disguise themselves as someone they're not to become someone who they want you to believe they are. We all have done this. The psychoanalyst says there is the ideal self and there is the real self. Let's face it. We are not what we should be, but thank God we are not what we used to be. We are all a work in progress. Maybe you're a handyman special, or perhaps you're considered a fix-me-upper. Whatever is the case, we are jars in the hands of the potter. He's calling us to an open book life. His call on my life is to become more transparent with him, so that I can become more transparent with my fellow man. For the past are pages of my life that has been turned, and there are pages that awaits to be read. Finally, we are told that every words and deeds are being recorded in the book of life. What will be the headlines that depict your life? A broken stone that lived as a stone unturned. I am your host, LT, for this Manna moment, Broken Stones. I pray that God will richly bless you with this message, and that you will become transparent, and that you will be fit for the Master's use. It says and it warns us that whosoever this stone shall fall upon shall be grinded to powder. But to whosoever this falls upon this stone will become broken stones, fit for the Master's use. I am your host, LT. This has been your Manna moment. May God continue to bless you. May he have his face to shine upon you. Until we meet next week with Fresh Manna Ministries. Amen.
Thank you for listening to our message today. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. We thank you for listening to us today, and may this blessing be upon you. We thank you once again, Fresh Manna Ministries, Fresh Manna Midweek Moments. Good day. God bless you.